Boys and girls, Alex back again. Looks as though I've turned into a puzzle freak lately, because that's all I seem to be making. My latest puzzle is called a Japanese puzzle box. Unfortunately, that's all I've got to show you at the moment, because the one I did before I've given away, and I'm just in the process of making a few more. I normally don't like showing build videos because, hell, it's ho-hum, who wants to watch people cut and glue up. However, I'll take you through some of the tricky spots I had in making this puzzle. And again, I will say that this puzzle does depend on having access to a laser or a CNC machine, because while it can be made out of solids, it does become a trial and error job. And believe me, I know it's going to be hard because it's a bugger even with laser cut. Okay, so let's get into it. We'll put this aside. As I say, this is, well, you'll see it come into play in a few minutes. This is how it comes off the laser initially. It took 7 minutes 35 seconds to cut all this out on a Trotec PD100. That's if you decide to go this way for whatever reason you might, and you want to outsource your laser cutting. You can mention that at a Speedy 100 at 45% speed, it took 7 minutes to cut on a 30-watt machine. So that'll give you an idea of, you can maybe find out how much it costs you to actually get it cut. The MDF itself is bugger all. Most of the issues with this comes in the assembly, and that's why I don't like making these. Who knows when the time comes where I might need a few shekels and I might need to sell some. But at the moment, the way it is, the amount of time I put in it and the value I put on my time, because I am fucking 73 years old, so my time is precious, people just wouldn't be prepared to pay for the time I've put into it. But anyway, enough of that claptrap. Let's get into it. First of all, I usually get some sort of a beaker so I won't lose the bloody things, and I'll pop them out. Oh, well, there you are, they're popping out. I'll put those aside, keep those aside, the rest I'll throw in there. Oh, Christ almighty, now you see what I mean. They bloody go everywhere. And if I was going bald, you'd probably see my bald patches. I'd bend over to pick this up. But I'll do my traditional grunting. Holy shit. There you are. Oh look, I'll throw these in. One more and one more. Get rid of that crap. As you can see, not that much wasted. The way I do it, this is where CNC is a bummer, because you can't really cut between two pieces with a zero curve. While with a laser you can, so you're not wasting much. With a CNC you have to have at least, well, it depends on the diameter of your router bit. And then you've got to try and hold the bloody thing down to go everywhere. But with the laser, the curve is about 0.2 of a mil or something like that. And there's no need to worry about securing the pieces. Anyway, just to give you a few hassles that I went through, this, you'll notice, well, you don't notice, you will now that I've told you, that's the top of the box. Sits on there. Now, I initially didn't think, like at the moment, you'll notice these holes are there. That's for dowel alignment, or when I say dowel, toothpick alignment. Only because initially I just had this there, and I was going to just glue these pieces on there, and as you can see it's been broken away and all that. But to do the gluing properly, I made this little jig up whereby you could put it in, put the piece in there, like say for argument's sake you'd put that there, have it down, and then you'd align your pieces. If I got this right, I can't remember which is which now, and then I need a small piece. No, that's a, oh damned if, Jesus Christ. As I said, grossly organised, yeah. The big piece goes there, the small piece goes there. And then you take the jig out and you flip it around and you do some more, put the other two on. However, they eventually break off much easier. So I found it was easier if I had toothpicks in there, and just to give you an idea, basically what I do, sorry, this is going to again extend the bloody video. If I would have prepared this, rehearsed it, might be different, but I didn't, so tough. I'll just grab one of these. I don't need the jig, and not only that, the toothpicks give it reinforcement. Naturally I'd super glue the toothpick in there, both of them, slap some super glue along there, and then I'm not sure which way this goes. I haven't got the orientation. I'd have to follow a diagram. Come here. In fact, I think that's one of the reasons why I kept this one, so I know which orientation to do. And again, with the super glue down, you glue it down. When the glue dries, flush cut with a bandsaw, hacksaw, flush cut saw, Jap saw. The thing to remember is that these two are now really a mirror images of each other, because they sit on top. So that one there on this one is not the same as that. He's got to mirror it, so it's got to go on that side. But anyway, that's my problem. That's how I did those. However, I have found that jig wasn't wasted, because what I've done is I've actually put on there the measurements, 12.25, 7.8, that's the X and Y axis, and the Z axis 64.36 mil. So when I put the blank or unengraved piece in there, let's get this right, I can then ram this into the corner of the laser bed, and that'll line up the laser beam in the corner, and off it goes. This one I screwed up because somehow I didn't realise I rotated the picture, and I did it sideways when that is the correct orientation, and the picture sideways. And Jesus Christ, you know, the boys at Lumberjocks would rip my balls out if they knew I did a sideways picture. Anyway, that was it. To build, okay, I'll go into how, because there's plenty of surface, gluing surface there, I don't actually use dowel alignment for this. However, I need to align it, and I'll show you how I went about the first time. But I'll go through this pile, pick out two pieces or one side of the box that fits together, and explain what I did first of all. Okay, back again. Just a quick one for the column centre part of the box. I don't know why the designer had that seeker in there, other than the fact that you might be able to put something in there and make it a practical box, or because it certainly wouldn't hold more than a couple of cents worth of shekels. But anyway, to make that and keep it solid, I built it up like that. with my mortise and tenon type of a unit. And I also put those in there because previously I didn't have that, and just to glue that flat onto a top was it just wouldn't hold. This way I can then insert them in there and it will be a nice solid piece. Okay, enough of that. Here's, as you can see, I've stacked these pieces up in their respective sizes. There's 4 sides to the box, actually 6. There's 4 sides, and the top and the bottom. The top and the bottom are the same, except they're mirror images. Now on the side, you've got a long side, a short side, and 2 sides the same size. Let's just worry about the short side, the yellow one, which is the one I actually buggered up here, and show you how I initially assembled it or glued it up. I used to have these little gadgets that I made up, little alignment jigs, whereby I do it in that piece goes on there to hold that central on there. This is a step piece, 3-step piece that I put on there and then align it like that, and then naturally you put the glue on the bottom of that, put it in there and push them, hold them together, sorry you can't see it, hold them together tight until the glue dried. Then you eventually get the next piece, and once that's dried, that goes on top, and as you can see you've got your stepped effect. But the trouble is you need about 5 or 6 pairs of hands to hold all these together. So the next evolution of this puzzle, or this jig, I got rid of those. I actually had one for the other side there as well, so all 4 sides were covered. But the whole thing about it is you had to stuff around with all these things to before the glue dried. Anyway, the next progression to this was this little unit here. Basically what you need to do is the bottom piece goes in there, and the middle piece, actually you can then turn this upside down, the middle piece sits in there. So what you would do in reality is put the middle piece in, apply glue to that. Actually what I do, let's get this right, I put the inside piece, the last piece, underneath as just for support purposes. Then this is a piece that needs to be glued, but it doesn't need to be glued to that, it needs to be glued to that. So you apply glue on that side, put it in place, make sure everything is, or at least that's tight. This one with the glue on there sits on there, you push it down, and then what you try and do is, hang on, lift that out and then grab hold of that and remove that, just to make sure that the glue doesn't, any squeeze out doesn't stick to that. And usually by the time you've gone through that process, that's strong enough to hold on to that. Then when those two have dried, when the glue has dried, you can then slap it back into this jig, slap some glue on there, this fits in, hold that down again, move that out just to make sure that no squeeze out. Well, you know, I don't care about the squeeze out. Hang on, that didn't look too good either, because that wasn't in all the way, but that would have been glued up. But the beauty of this jig is that you can then put it on the other side. In fact, I might make another one of these to make sure that both sides are perfectly square. But anyway, that's how that particular jig works. And that's it. From then on, it's just a matter of making up the sides, and I'll show you, well, once I've made that up, then it's really a case of getting on with a scraper on there and a file down the middle until that being the yellow side, and I know yellow goes on across the front of that. You just keep putting it in there and pushing it across until it runs relatively smooth. You've got to watch it though, because the fact that this hasn't got a front on it, sometimes that corner catches on the inside edge there, which is what happened there. So what you have to do is push down on here, lift that up to pull it out. But as you can see, it slides across quite simply. But you keep doing that, you keep sanding that or filing that down until that works. And this is something you'd have to really emphasize if you cut it out of solids. With the laser, you're only looking at having to remove at the most 0.1 or 0.2 of MDF, which you can do very easily with the scraper or just light sanding, while with solid you'd have to, well, get quite aggressive. So there you have it. Oh sorry, while we're going through, well, once you've done that, you've got a solid piece which is like that, and as I mentioned to you, you use this little jig to throw onto the laser, and then you come up with that little unit. Then what I do is I fill that indentation, because that indentation's about not quite a mil deep, with black Timbermate ebony. It's just my favourite way of doing it. Now often I have to put on about 2 or 3 coats, only because some of the places, big areas, the scraper just indents or concaves it, and I normally only use a small spatula, which means I tend to depress it, so the second coat fills in some of the bits I missed, and the third coat I might actually get a bigger spatula and smooth it out. And once you've done that, you finish up with, this is one of the other ones I've been working on. This is now after two coats. Having done that, that then goes over to my Ross, and I'll zip you over. You've seen me do all this before in other videos, but I know you couldn't be bothered watching some of them, so look, for all you lazy buggers here, I'll give you a quick rundown of what I actually do over here on the Ross. Right, here I am at the Ross, mounted with 180 grit upside down. Turn it on and I'll just sand away most of the stuff. I use 180 because it removes it quicker than the 240. Yeah, as you can see there, whoops, no you can't see, here we are, a cute little zebra. Oh, hang on, shit. Upside. Oh, that's right, I've got the viewfinder upside down, so I've got to do everything in reverse so I can see it. Anyway, what I then do is I replace the 180 with 240. I like to have it nice and clean. Back on again with the 240. Right. Oh, there we go. Okay, back here again at the semi-assembly table. As you can see, we've got our cute little giraffe, which is one side looking at the back of it, I now know that this is sort of like the original solver, the puzzle maker. He identified the sides as green, yellow, red, blue sides. The green is the long side. Again, when I say the long side, if you have a look, that is 6 mil longer than this side here, and this is the red side, because the yellow side, which is this one, is 6 mil shorter than that. The yellow side is the smallest side, and the red and blue sides are the same. So I know this is the blue side. Now the blue side is either that or that. I think the blue side is that one, but anyway, that now will slide in there, and when all the pieces are together, that is how, oh hang on, what can you see here? That is what the side of the box will look like, and naturally you'll have the zebras all around it. I'll come back to you when I've sanded all the others, but before I finish up assembling the box, oh look, I bloody will show you anyway, because some of you are just too bloody lazy to look back at old videos. Oh no, actually I'll go there now. No, bugger it, I'll do it later and show you how I actually buff this up on my buffing system. Right, over here at the buffing wheel, I charged the wheel with some triple E wax, and you can't see it, but there's another buffing wheel next to it, which I'll move the camera later. I charge it with white diamond. Then it's a case of bringing the unit over and just holding it against the buffer until I get a nice shine on it. And this triple E wax has got a bit of a cutting compound in it, so as well as shining it up or giving it a coat of wax, it does polish it up a bit. Now as you can see, I've already done all the other sides, and this is why it's so bloody annoying and it takes so long, because then I've got to do this side, then through there, flip it over, there and that side, and half the time I get rather slack. I don't hold it properly, the wheel catches a corner, flips it out of my hand, either breaks it or dents it, and I've got to make another one. So I'm not overly keen in buffing them up, and fortunately this is a puzzle worthwhile, but for some of the smaller ones I couldn't be bothered. Here I am on the white diamond, same thing, basically give it, although I don't spend as much time on this as the triple E, but I do each corner, and as you might be able to see, it does come up quite well, and it's quite nice and shiny. Alright, now the last step. The last step is here at the lathe, where I've got a small buff mounted and I use Canubra wax. Now I have got a large buffing wheel that I can swap one of those other wheels out by, and I've also actually got, look, I'll get it for you, one of these units which has got the 3 different mops on for the different compounds, but I just found that using them the way on the grinder and this one on the lathe is just as easy. But anyway, turn the lathe on, give it a quick charge, and as you can see, this one is quite quick, because all that's doing is just laying a protective coat of wax on it. one of the things I've got to admit I tend not to do, although I should, I don't oil too many of these things. I prefer to use oil like tung oil or even Danish oil. The only problem is that it makes the MDF too dark, and I don't know, to me it just darkens it to the point where I don't think it is as attractive. Okay, I'll do the other 3 pieces and then get back to assembling the box. Okay, back with the 4 cute little buffed up heads of the giraffe. Well, actually I call him a giraffe, you might call him a zebra. It's a bloody animal, for God's sake. And I don't think he's going to get too offended if I call him a giraffe, unless he speaks English. And being from Africa, he probably doesn't. Anyway, I'll put it together in the box and give you a quick glimpse, and hopefully in the follow-up video I'll show you the solution to it.